HR outsourcing?
Human resource outsourcing is the definition of people operations. So everything to do with the people side of the business is what we handle, from employees to employee engagement to benefit administration, compliance, OSHA, health and safety. That is what human resources is all about.
Amber, why should a company consider hiring Eventure HR?
Companies should consider hiring a company like Eventure HR due to the fact of compliance, risk mitigation, and the complexity of the organization is running through all of our team members, where sometimes when we hire just one person to manage the entire HR department, we don't potentially perhaps have all the expertise that the business is going to need through all of the tasks that the business is going to have to perform.
And Amber, what are the cost benefits of human resource outsourcing?
When we have human resources as an external factor, we actually are able to structure the roles and responsibilities on many different levels compared to competencies. So the cost factor enables a client, a prospect in this matter, but a prospect to review the cost savings, because the cost side of it is able to be driven based upon the roles and responsibilities from an HR admin to an HR director level. You're getting, with our services, you're getting all of those levels for competencies, but also it also reflects on the scope of what we're paying for as a client.
And how does the HR outsourcing improve compliance?
When we have human resources as an external factor, we improve compliance by the mere fact of there's more associates that have attention to the compliance factors, the laws, the updates, because not only do we have to handle it for one organization, we have to handle it for many organizations. So we have to ensure that we are up to speed on every moving piece that is coming out of the governance side of the compliance.
Amber, what HR functions can be outsourced?
Human resource functions that can be outsourced to an external factor could be anything from workers' comp claims management to unemployment claims management. We have benefit administration, we have compliance, we have training and development, we have the policies and procedures. We have so many facets of HR that there's no ends to what we can do to administer the administrative mundane task to the high level yearly tasks.
Is HR outsourcing suitable for small businesses? We know that your primary focus is medium to large businesses, but is it also suitable for small businesses?
Small businesses benefit from having an HR expertise on staff or external factors like us, because not all the time do you need someone that is going to be an expert in the laws, because you're small, you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 employees. But when the mere fact comes in, you have to deal with open enrollment, you have to deal with workers' comp audits, you have to deal with, I have new hires to employ, you have status changes, what happens? Once you had over 25 employees, now we have Affordable Care Act mandates and other COBRA administration that has to take place. So small businesses benefit even on the call us as you need us mentality, because it comes up ever so often that they just need to call. We call it phone a friend. We rather you phone a friend, may cost $100, $150, but we rather you phone a friend than get into an issue with employee compliance.
Where is the benefit to medium to large size businesses?
Medium to large size businesses really benefit from having us on their staff, because we are able to provide a SWAT team, I like to call it. We're able to provide the administrator, the coordinator, the generalist, the director, the OSHA compliance individual, the training and development specialist. We're able to supply all of that to a company that is a medium-sized businesses to a large size. When I say medium, I'm thinking 100 to 500 employees is medium size. When I'm thinking large, I'm 500 plus. Working with clients that have thousands of employees, we're now in the scale of either one, they have a designated person on site and we complement everything they do, or we have certain roles and responsibilities handled that they may be the day-to-day interactive with the employee and we may handle everything after that.
Amber, how do you select an HR outsourcing provider?
When a company realizes that they are looking at needing an HR provider, there's a lot of things that go into that. So when a request for proposal comes in place, they could be looking at capacity, character, the staff members, interviewing our own staff members, looking at our staff members' expertise, where our culture is going, what our turnover looks like. When a company is looking at outsourcing a provider or looking to outsource to a provider, we need to understand, is this company going to fit into my organization? Because if the vision and the values of the company I'm looking to hire doesn't fit into it, it doesn't go well with my organization.
Amber, what are the risks of human resource outsourcing?
The risks of human resource outsourcing is what has a tendency to veer towards they're too busy. They're not going to have time for me. They don't have enough capacity to handle my needs. I'm not going to get the value or the expertise within the company because maybe they don't have tools and resources to give them the insights of the liabilities, the law updates, what is potentially out there in the market. And I think that's more of the risk when it comes to hiring an external factor.
Amber, can HR outsourcing improve employee satisfaction?
HR outsourcing can improve employee satisfaction due to the fact that we are constantly educating. We're constantly giving employees the insights and the compassion and the feeling that they're valued, because they believe a lot of times that they have more of an open ear because we are external, that we are not internal to the company, and that we're not sitting right next to the owner getting paid by the owner. A lot of times the employees feel, and we have heard this firsthand, the employees feel that they're more open to talk to us because we are not employed by the owner.
Amber, can you provide any case studies of successful HR outsourcing?
Successful HR outsourcing, one of the ideas of where we really shine is when we find opportunities to improve a process, when we find opportunities to fix the bottom line and really enhance the benefit of what we bring to the table. So basically what we're doing is that if we have the education and we can come to you and say, hey, here's what I know, here's what needs to be improved. Oh, by the way, it's going to yield X amount of dollars, $70, $150, $130,000. That's a benefit to the organization, but a challenge to us to give that benefit.
Amber, what are the key legal considerations for HR outsourcing?
The legal considerations are liability when it comes to HR outsourcing. So a lot of times clients believe that we hold the liability for the employees, which means like a co-employment situation. At the end of the day, the employee is employed by the employer. So we are guiding the employer, we are guiding what needs to be done, the rights and wrongs. So the key considerations when it comes to compliance with liability is truly the fact that the employer is still responsible to adhere to all the policies. If they tell us, no, don't do that, but it goes against what the law is, we have to make sure we document that because the employer is the one that is still liable.
Okay, moving on to payroll services. What do comprehensive payroll services include?
Comprehensive payroll services include everything from the tedious activity of change my direct deposits to the mere fact of we need to process a bonus run. We need to adjust payroll dollars. We need to do increases and decreases. We need to pay the employees correctly in payroll comprehensive management.
Amber, how can outsourcing payroll save money?
Payroll outsourcing can save money due to the fact that we have various levels of tasks that go into payroll. So what happens is you have the payroll administrator, that is the daily, mundane, we got to enter all this data because this is the data we received that has to be changed for an employee. Then you also have the payroll's processor. The payroll processor is the one that's processing the payroll, adhering to the IRS policies, adhering to the laws and the governance behind payroll in the wage and hour division. And then you'll have a payroll auditor. So we call it the 4 sets of eyes. You have the payroll processor who's doing the data entry. You have the payroll auditor who's actually auditing the data. Subrogation of duties occurs. The reason for cost savings in payroll management in our situation is we divvy up the tasks to ensure that the tasks are where they need to align to based upon compensation, competency, and their job.
Amber, what are the risks of payroll outsourcing?
Risks of payroll outsourcing could potentially include time crunches, having people paid on time. I see that a lot of times when clients come to us from another provider, they have actually been burned where their employees weren't paid on time because the payroll processor didn't get it in on time. We set the tone for our internal team that everybody's cross-trained on every single client. So there is no, oh craps, we don't have time to get people paid, because at the end of the day, I'm the 3rd backup, the 4th backup to all of our employees. So I will jump in and process a payroll if I have to.
Amber, what are the common issues with internal payroll processing?
Common issues with internal payroll processing could look like the ones that I commonly hear when I go into prospecting. I'm hearing they have issues with people being paid on time, issues with retro pay or their compensation increases not being paid on time, or people being paid their bonuses late, that they were told one thing and not the other. A lot of times I think that's also due to time management. I think there's a lot of time management that goes into it. Maybe it's the time that it took employees or executive team members to get the data to the payroll processor. So I see both sides of it, which is the glory, because I can see why internal payroll people and processors don't have enough time to get the job done, because you do have deadlines to ACH it and to make sure that it's in the employees' bank accounts. But on the other side, we also have to make sure that the executive team hold accountability, the management, the decision makers, whatever the title may be, have the capability to get the data in on time, because we do have, as payroll processors, we have a time deadline to ensure that that deadline's met for people are paid on their payday.
Amber, how does payroll outsourcing handle tax compliance?
Payroll outsourcing and tax compliance go hand in hand. So when we look at tax compliance, we're looking at the IRS regulations. So when you have a tech company that has the IRS notifications, or your employees' wages were wrong because the 940 said this, but your employee wages reported this, that is an escalation because there's a notice from the IRS. We have to research the notice from the IRS. Sometimes we escalate it depending on the tech provider. The tech providers can get emailed what the notice is, and they'll handle it. Sometimes, depending on tech providers, we have to handle it. We're calling and getting the authorizations. We're researching the data and ensuring that the withholding, the state, the unemployment, all of the tax compliances are actually on time, delivered on time.
Amber, can payroll services integrate with my existing HR services?
Payroll and HR go hand in hand in a lot of companies. A lot of companies, I also do see that payroll and HR can go hand in hand when we pull it all together. Back in the day, there's a lot of payroll that was handled only in finance. So when it was only in finance, we only handle HR pieces. And when we look at pulling them together, when HR and payroll go hand in hand, they actually complement each other very well, and it's more efficient when they are pulled together under one umbrella.
Amber, what is the turnaround time for processing payroll?
Turnaround time for processing payroll, it can look many ways. So we'll take an example of a Friday payday. If it's a Friday payday, typically we're starting processing on Mondays. If the pay period ends on a Sunday, we start on a Monday. We're doing our things Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesday, we're getting it out for approval. Sometimes, depending on the volume of the company, how many employees, what the data is coming in, we could potentially get it out on a Tuesday, but sometimes it could be a Monday. It really depends on the volume, how many employees, all the changes that have to occur in a normal payroll processing week.
Amber, how secure are outsourced payroll services?
Payroll services are only as secure as the company sets it to be. So we look at a lot of cybersecurity. We look at a lot of potential risk that are out there. When we look at risk, we look at stop sending everything over the webs and through emails. I don't want direct deposits sent to us. I don't want your forms changed. I don't want to see a tax status change form going through our email inbox. We're going to coach and train and counsel the employees to do it themselves. We're going to coach and train them to set up multi-step authentication, because my employer received a notice that says, yeah, I need you to change my direct deposit immediately because I need this changed before payroll is processed. Sincerely, Amber Maiani. That looked so real, but until she hovered over the actual email address, she realized it was not me. So you have to make sure that the security is set, the multi-step authentications are set, and we have security in place. Not sharing things over email all the time. We can text it, we can screenshot it, we can do a lot of other items. We secure our documents in OneDrive, we send it through secure Microsoft Proofpoint. Everything we do, we make sure that there's a security aspect to it.
Amber, are there customizable options in payroll services?
In payroll services, there's a lot of customized options. We may only be the role of auditing a payroll of someone else because they don't have a set of 4 eyes, we call it. So we may only audit payroll. We may only do all the management of all the administration because there's so much maintenance that goes into the tech because they have such 1,000 employees, hiring 10 a week. We have new hires, onboarding, offboarding, changes, benefit changes that goes in with the volume of hiring, especially in staffing companies, high turnover hospitality companies, that you're doing a lot of the maintenance activities. So when it goes into the volume, we're looking at, there's so much that could go into it, but we add the value of ensuring that we're at different levels of where we're providing the staff members.
Amber, what support is available with payroll services?
The support that's available is we are constantly available through Teams, chat support directly. Our clients email us, text us, call us. The support that we're giving is really choosing where they need us. So it could, in various levels, it could be just all in, we handle every aspect. It could just be, we're just going to audit something. And it could just be just workers' comp claims audits.
Amber, how do payroll services handle bonuses and commissions?
Bonuses and commissions are handled by a payroll provider like us, simply by really many different ways. Ideally, we receive a bonus file that a HR member, an executive member gives us. Depending on the tech is where it really starts. Some techs, we manually have to enter the data manually, every single payroll, every person in the pay grid manually. And some technology firms, we're able to do Excel equations and download files, make Excel equations, and then upload the file.
So moving on to employee benefits management, what are the types of employee benefits?
Looking at employee benefits, when we look at the whole picture of employee benefits, there's so much that goes into employee benefits. You got Affordable Care Act, you got summary plan descriptions, summary material modifications, you've got SPDs, You've got SBC, summary benefit coverage. There's so many acronyms, you might as well throw it into an alphabet soup. Because with benefits, we have life insurance, we have medical insurance, we have vision, healthcare, pet insurance. There's so much insurance and employee benefits that are out there, commuter benefits, transit benefits. They're called fringe benefits, and we don't understand the effect of fringe benefits compared to, kind of goes like employee benefits, fringe benefits, IRS. It all stems to the IRS regulations. And if we don't understand the employee, yes, I know I pay my employees benefits, but do I really know the IRS side of it? That has to go hand in hand, because IRS will tell you taxable or non-taxable. And if you're not running it right, you have a lot of risk on your hands.
Amber, how do you manage employee benefits effectively?
Employee benefits can be managed very effectively by working in coinciding, I like to call it, in concert with the broker. In concert with the broker, we become that person that is constantly in connection with the broker. Some clients want us to only handle certain aspects, and some clients are like, we don't want to talk to the broker at all, you handle it all. When we talk to the broker insurance agent, we're handling all the financials. We're handling the benefit options, the opportunities to enroll in what plans, what the rules and regulations look like. Do they term the first day of termination? Are they effective the first day of employment or 30 days of employment? All of this goes into employee management and benefits. We handle that whole entire piece if the client allows us to. We are on the other side of the table helping moderate those discussions with the insurance provider, broker, and the employer, so they ask the right questions to get the right, answer the right questions that they're looking for.
Amber, what are the legal requirements for employee benefits?
Legal requirements for employee benefits really stem from the size of the company, but also what level of insurance you have. So you have certain legal requirements that after you hit a certain level of employee numbers, that you offer employees benefits. 50 employees is standard. And at that point, you offer the employees coverage. Then you have the affordability test under the Affordable Care Act. So you have to ensure that it's affordable. I can't go to an employee that makes $14 an hour and expect them to pay $500-$600 a month for a PPO plan that's a $500 deductible. So we have to make sure we offer the right level of coverage, deductible size, premiums, and co-pays, but it all goes hand in hand with the broker that they choose to work with.
Amber, how do you communicate benefits to the employees?
Employee benefits are communicated in many different ways. A lot of times it has to do with what does the employee benefits broker provide? If they provide free platforms to Employee Navigator or Ease or BenePro, there's so many different types of platforms out there that it really depends if they provide a platform or not. And then we kind of do a what if scenario. If they do this, the broker does this, part of their services, then we look at what can we do to complement it to manage the benefits. Do we have to set up something internally with the tech system? Do we have to do it manually? Do we do enrollment forms? Standardly, what it looks like is we are working hand in hand in concert with the broker agency to educate the employees, get them enrolled, call them and ask them any questions. If the brokerage firm doesn't produce benefit pamphlets, we are producing Adobe benefit pamphlets to give to the employees with the knowledge that we have and the documents that we were given. It really depends on, again, going back and forth with what the broker offers, and then we complement the broker.
Amber, what are the trends in employee benefits?
A lot of trends in employee benefits could look like offering 2 to 3 different types of plans, a la carte, what we call cafeteria plans. The trends look to see what can I offer that financially helps the company, but financially can also cater to multi-generations. So for instance, even in my own team, I have an HSA and a PPO. The HSA, I see certain individuals take the HSA and contribute to a health savings account. And certain individuals that really use the benefits a lot have a tendency to enroll in a PPO plan because it's more beneficial because of how much they use it. So I really see the trend looking at offering 2 to 3 to 4 types of benefits, bases and buy-ups and really looking at the financial aspect to the company as well.
Amber, how do benefits impact employee retention?
Benefits really impact the employee retention because when I go into a company, I am looking at what is this company offering me? And an employee is going to go in, just no different than employee is going to go in and say, what does this company offer me? What is the company going to give me? Do I need this company or do they need me? What am I willing to work for? Is now where the structure in the trend has moved us to. Before it was just like, yep, I'm jumping ship, but now it's more of the total package, my total compensation of what I'm being offered. Because if I'm being offered $14 an hour, but I'm going to go next door and be offered $14.50, we educate people and our employees of our clients to say, hey, that's a 50-cent raise, yes. But let's look at their benefit package because maybe you're paying $200 more a month in the benefit package. So just educating all in all the employee packages is what helps the retention.
Amber, can you talk about some cost saving strategies and benefits management?
A lot of cost saving strategies can come into benefit management, whether it's employee benefits, workers' comp benefits. When we look at the different structure of what plans are we offering, what are we doing, and then what cost savings do we have because of what we're offering. So if we're only offering one plan, there's not going to be cost savings. If we're offering 2 to 3 plans, it ends up having cost savings because we're educating the employees. We could do base and buy-ups. We can do surcharges. We can look at employee. I'd rather pay 100% of an expense instead of a liability as an employer. So I may pay 100% of employee only coverage, but they have to pay the delta or the variance, the difference between a 2-person, a family, a 1, 2, 3 dependents. The employee pays the difference. So there's many different trends that are trending out there and how just to mitigate the cost of an employer, but mitigate the cost of an employee.
Amber, how do you evaluate employee benefits providers?
We evaluate employee benefits brokers by looking at the different various options that brokers have to offer. So what happens is a broker will come, or employer will come to us and say, Amber, team eVenture, we don't like our broker. We don't have a good relationship with the broker. What would you recommend? We at this point are going to say, hey, we connect with so many, we have experience with so many brokers. Let's talk about what you're looking for and what you need. By that point, we're going to supply 2 to 3 to 4 different brokerage agencies that will provide the benefits, whether it's workers' comp or employee benefits. We're going to provide those that we have already had experience with in our tenure, that we have known, we trust, we can see first in hand their performance. And we're going to say, you know what, these 3 or 4 are going to match what you're looking for. We then put the ownership on the employer to make that relationship with the broker, because at the end of the day, it's their relationship, not ours. They are the ones to substantiate that relationship with their broker. We are there only to be that super connector to help and guide them in the right direction.
Okay, moving on to HR compliance audits. What is an HR compliance audit?
When we look at HR compliance audits, we are looking at the various levels of how many employees do you have, what benefits are you offering, what policies do you have to complement the number of employees you have. We are looking at many facets of auditing, not even the HR department, just your people operations, the payroll, the HR, and the health and safety and recruiting.
Amber, why are HR compliance audits necessary?
HR compliance audits are very much needed in a company because we get into the mundane, I've always done it that way. And when we say we've always done it that way and we continue to do it that way, we never look at what is actually compliant and true today's day. We all know the world evolves every single month. We as employers also need to evolve with the time and changes.
Amber, what are the steps in conducting an HR audit?
When we conduct an HR audit, the steps that we take are we have crafted an Excel sheet that we have created over the years, and we keep adding to it. So the steps we take is working in two different ways. If it's an HR internal, there's an HR internal individual currently in place. We work directly hand in hand with the HR individual and audit their processes, get a second set of eyes. And it's what we like to call it the skeletons in the closet. We pick up the rock and we see everything that's underneath that rock. And we're asking detailed hypotheticals. The skeletons in the closet, let us know about them. And then at that point, we can come out at the end of the day and look at, here's areas where we need to improve. We see, thank you for telling us the skeletons, because we see what's not getting done and what needs to get done in a compliance audit.
Amber, how often should an HR audit be conducted?
HR audits and payroll audits at least should be conducted at least once a year. Ideally, as seasons change, as employers change, more employees are coming on board. If I went from 100 to 1,000, what does that look like for how I'm handling things? How does the structure look like in my organization? As those times change, that's when those audits need to take place.
Amber, what areas are typically reviewed in an HR audit?
Areas that are typically reviewed in the HR audit are handbook policies, so PTO policies, the payroll side of the business, because we have onboarding and offboarding. They kind of go hand in hand. We have the hiring practices. How do you hire someone? What are the interview questions that you're using? Do you think that asking a question like, you went to a college or a university and you're going to make a hiring manager is going to make a decision based upon that, is it discriminating against somebody that's in a protected class? Are you asking about certain questions in your interviewing questions that should not be asked because you're at risk for EEOC issues? And those are the type of questions that we are asking, and we're really uncovering during those audits.
Amber, what are some of the common findings from HR compliance audits?
Some of the common findings are the employers didn't know about the laws that are out there at the state, so paid medical leaves or voting leave rights. That individuals should be paid for a certain amount of sick leaves or certain buckets. We find those a lot. We find during the audits that there has been the ways to handle harassment policies, that they don't have, I guess it also goes to industry. And there's very industry specific requirements when it comes to HR, payroll, and OSHA, health and safety. So depends on the various industries, also depends on what type of findings we find.
Okay.
A lot of times it could be the workers' comp. The workers' comp, we find that they're not coded correctly based upon job function.
Okay, Amber, how do you prepare for an HR compliance audit?
An employer would prepare for a compliance audit by pulling all of their, I don't want to keep saying policies and procedures every time we talk, but it's all of the, how do we do our job? So how is this done? How do I do recruiting? How do I do payroll? How do I do performance management? What does my grading scale look like? Do I have grading scales on performance management that is discriminatory behind scenes because it doesn't look like I'm actually providing the right grading scale level that is for older generation or new generations or new hires? Those are all the things that we have to take into account.
Amber, what are the consequences of failing an HR audit?
When we fail an HR audit, the consequences are merely a sense of risk that someone's going to knock on your door, I-9 compliance, not filling out the right documentations, not looking at E-Verify, not having the correct social security numbers and driver's license on file for an I-9 or passports, whatever the documents may be. When we look at the issues that could arise out of it, it's the mere fact of someone knocking on your door and saying, show me what you have, and you're not ready for those audits. In certain states, they alert you and say, FYI, we're coming to audit, and here's how many employees we have on staff. IRS, OSHA, unemployment, and they're going to ask for those timekeeping records. They're going to ask for a lot of documentation, and the states will say, FYI, we just hired 25 in this region, and employers got to be ready for that.
Amber, how do HR audits improve organizational practices?
When I look at HR audits improving organizational practices, it really comes to different facets of the company, because I believe that all things roll into the people. People are making the company live and breathe every day. Without the people, you have no business. So if we look at how employees, processes, and structure of an HR department in an audit are taking place, it will improve the process. Once we uncover that time management or people are not getting paid the right wages, it reflects turnover, it reflects retention. We're looking at employees getting hurt. Employees get hurt, that means health, OSHA, and safety compliance. That means we have to do OSHA recordables, which you don't want a recordable at your company. We're looking at trend. We're looking at if you don't offer the right employee benefits because your employee benefit audit showed that you're not offering the right benefits, or you're not right benefits, but you're not offering affordable benefits to your employees. All of this has an impact to really financials. And if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have the right team members on staff to support you, or you merely just don't have the capacity because your team's there, your team knows what they're doing, they know as much as they can do, and they're trying to stay afloat, they don't have the capacity to fix everything else that needs to be fixed, that's broken. And that's where we end up providing that value, to provide the value of those expertise.
Amber, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. You're welcome.